Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of my Out of the Park Baseball 21 series with the Colorado Rockies. Now this episode, we're back to our regularly scheduled programming after the kind of mess up with the recording file that I went over last episode. But we are here as we normally are in the kind of second episode of the season, and that is here in June on the day of the first year player draft. So we're going to be getting into that in a second. We have the 12th pick this season, but before that we're going to go ahead and be getting into kind of team performance at this point, which I actually really haven't taken a look at it this year, so it'll not only be interesting for you but also interesting for me. Now we are fourth at this point in the season, 20-34. Actually lost our last 6, so we actually were playing pretty decently before this little skid, and the Padres and Dodgers are actually well ahead of kind of where we were, of where we are, and Padres ahead of the Dodgers, which is kind of surprising. Of course, the Dodgers won 115 games last year, so pretty surprising there. And also one thing that I don't know if I went over in the last episode, or really, I'm pretty sure I didn't, because I think I talked about it in the originally planned off-season video, but of course that doesn't exist, or doesn't exist on YouTube at least. And the Miami Stars, or the Miami Marlins, changed their name to the Miami Stars. So that's really the only update there. They didn't relocate, just changed their branding for some reason. So that's the only thing about that. And I'm going to go ahead and kind of get into team performance here. I'm going to go ahead and do it by position as we usually do. So catching, pretty much a struggle to this point so far this year. Of course, Tony Walters kind of surprised us last year with his offensive production. Of course, not going to hit for a lot of power. Got a base at a decent clip last year, though, and this year been a total disaster at the plate, to say the least. Pretty much been replacement level, as has William Contreras. Contreras has been better with the bat. Of course, he is not nearly as good defensively, but of course, he has tons of room to grow, and we're not counting on him and being fantastic for us this season. We're counting on his growth for the future. Now, first base, also been a disaster. Shinton Apostle and Jake Lamb have been disastrous for us. So Jake Lamb, we might just go ahead and get rid of and just find another depth veteran piece, because this definitely hasn't been working out. The thing with Lamb, though, is his BABIP actually sucks, but he's actually been hitting for a decent amount of power. His OPS is over 800, so actually it's kind of quick to judge there a little bit, his performance this year, because he actually is hitting for quite a bit of power. 13 homers, tied with David Dahl for the team lead. So actually he'll probably stick around for a while. Shinton Apostle, of course, he is really struggling this year. Was a Rule 5 pick. Hopefully he didn't wreck him. I've never really seen him turn out to be too good when I've taken him as a Rule 5 draft pick in this game. But looks like he is probably not going to have a really fruitful career. Ryan Mcmahon, very, very limited at-bats this year, but very good in those limited at-bats. Pretty high BABIP. They're 435, but of course, that's probably going to be inflated a little bit as we've kind of learned to this point in Coors Field, but he's been very good, and he's actually kind of played his way into some first base ABs. Of course, he's our number one pinch hitter off the bench against right-handed pitching, and as you can see, every 15th game, he's slotted in there to play at first base, backing up at second base, so he's playing in there a little bit, and actually getting more playing time because of something that I forgot to mention to this point. Jeter down with a sprained ankle. He's only going to be missing about 2 to 3 weeks, but he was absolutely raking. You can see they're only playing 32 games, but 6 homers in those games, which is kind of crazy. Of course, he's not much of a power hitter, but 324, 432, and 647. Quite the slash line right there. So pretty good stuff from him. But playing second base for us right now in his absence is Brendan Rodgers, who they're both sharing time, and Rodgers has been pretty good in his own right, about league average offensively, but he's been pretty good here, and I think this is pretty much what we could expect for him for kind of the foreseeable future. OPS over 800 here, BABIP 320, which I think is a pretty reasonable BABIP for him, especially in a place like Coors Field, so the offense probably playing up a little bit. Pretty decent at second base defensively, so not really worried about him there. So pretty decent for us again. I'm there at second base. One of our younger infielders that we definitely plan on keeping around, Bobby Dahl back. He's an infielder who we thought could be on our plans, but not really playing like that. Already struck out 107 times and only 215 at bats, so not including walks there. So that's absolutely crazy. Basically struck out almost half the time And yeah, I mean, when you shake out half of the time, it's safe to say that he's not been very good this year. Batting wise, not really hitting well. Has a few homers, which of course, he's a power hitter, mostly an all or nothing hitter, so he's going to hit a few homers no matter what. But I mean, this offensive production is kind of inexcusable for him. Don't let the number of home runs deceive you. He has not been good. Colton Walker is actually who we called up in the absence of Jeter Downs, who actually just got hurt, which is why Colton Walker hasn't played a game. When I simmed to this day, Jeter Downs actually got hurt right then. But you can see Colton Walker, pretty good offensively, 304, 361, 495 slash line. And I checked his BABIP, that's something that I check with the offense production in AAA. I don't want to call up someone who's just solely riding off of BABIP luck. I want to, pick someone who has been actually performing well in the minor leagues and, hitting the ball hard, and their numbers kind of reflecting on that. Really out of luck, so he's been good. Trevor's Story has not been good, which is honestly quite the story. Kind of no pun intended right there, but Trevor's Story has just absolutely not been good for us this year. It really sucks for us because I was kind of hoping on some trade value for him this year. Of course, 2019 very good, that 2020 not as good, so definitely his value getting lower as the sim goes through here, but he's a pretty good defensive shortstop. Of course, there aren't a ton of good hitting shortstops out there. And, I mean, this is last year. He's not interested in negotiating with the team. Okay, he is now interested in negotiating with the team, but he wasn't previously. But in his last year of the contract, and, we have quite the plethora of infielders here. Brendan Rodgers, he can play some shortstop. Jeter Downs, he can play some shortstop. And, these guys, with the way they performed, I definitely, would like to give both of them a run at starting spots. I'm not sure which one would start at short. I think Brendan Rodgers might be the one who starts at short of that combo. I mean, those are both very good infielders I'd be comfortable having up the middle for a very long time in this save. So, I mean, Story could very much be expendable. As of now, I don't plan on extending him, but things could change if we miraculously get into a spot where we're contending. That could change, although I think that's very unlikely. David Dahl, he's back at it again. What can I say here? BABIP over 400, sky high, hitting a little above league average. Been our best hitter so far this year, as he was last year. And I mean, just raking, that BABIP sky high, but it looks like he just might be able to ride it out. He, sky high BABIP in the 140 games last year. It looks like he's doing the same thing. It's going to be very interesting to see if he can somehow keep this up. But if he does, I mean, if he might luck into a pretty good career if he's in Coors for his whole career. Definitely enjoying the benefits from that. And then here, pretty much a slew of pretty bad performances from the outfield. Mike Gerber, he's been absolutely terrible this year. Again, pretty good last year in his limited time with the big league club. I was mostly a bench bat, not been able to replicate that performance. I didn't think he would be able to, but I did not think it would be this bad. Garrett Hampson, he's also been awful. And so has Jonathan Daz. I mean, our outfield is pretty weak. I mean, it's two pretty big holes on the roster, and I don't really think there's really much that we could replace them with. Tristan Cashes can't play any outfield. Zach Borenstein, he honestly be who we give a shot this year. Maybe he's the overperforming outfielder that I haven't. Sam Hilliard has actually been very good as well. So actually, I think we are going to go ahead and make those moves. We're going to be sending him down and Mike Gerber down, and we're going to be making room for Hilliard and Borenstein, I think, and they're going to go ahead and slot into our lineup. I'm sure that they'll kind of trade off time in right field a little bit. David Dahl will probably end up backing up center field. So that shouldn't really get shaken up too much. Now we're going to go ahead and look at pitching performances. Probably kind of a little quickly. I never really focused as much on pitching this, just because it really doesn't interest me as much. But again, just taking a look here. Helsley, he's been very good for us. Kind of limited appearances, but still very, very good for us so far. Scott Oberg, he's been good in very limited appearances as well, only 7 innings. So far this year. John Gray, he's been fantastic for this year. Hopefully, maybe this could be a little bit of a career rebound. That would be extremely, extremely nice for us. I don't know if he's in the last year of his team control, and I think he might be. Looks like possible free agent, so he might be eligible to be a Super 2 guy. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Santatelli, he's been very good as well. Yency Almonte, he's been pretty fine as a reliever. German Marquez, he's been pretty good. Better ERA than last year, but I believe his FIP is around where it was last year, so kind of consistent performance from him. Jose Castillo, he's been pretty decent. Gudo, he's been decent. Freeland, man. And then Diaz, Estevez, Jose Gonzalez. Oof, Jose Gonzalez has been not been good. I mean, hopefully he can really turn around. He's our best reliever by far. We're not paying him a ton. But, of course, love to see him be good. Because at the end of that contract, but I'm kind of expecting our team to be kind of coming around and turning a corner by that point. So hopefully we're ready to contend then. I mean, we should have some money to play with then, although I can't find it somehow. Okay, here it is. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna definitely have some money to play with coming up there. So, we really need to have guys like him turn out. But nevertheless, we're getting into Rule 5, not the Rule 5 draft. I always say that, the MLB draft. And let's kind of see what's available here. Sorting by potential. Doesn't look like the best of drafts, to be honest here. Only a 3-star potential player here. Really available. Steve Nicholson, college middle infielder. He looks decent. I think his hitting ratings could develop him to being a pretty decent player. Actually, CJ Abrams, I guess, whoa my gosh, 6'11", 235. This guy is absolutely massive. Jeez. Luke Davis, and kind of interesting. Hitting catcher right there. Yeah, I mean, these pitchers who have super high demands don't really interest me at this point. So I think Steve Nicholson is going to be who we go with here. College shortstop or really middle infielder. So we're going to go with him. Luke Davis is still on the board. Mike Baker. Well, it's not the outfielder that I was briefly looking at earlier. Luis Andrade. No. Mike Thompson. Possibility maybe. If he could play. No, he can't really play the outfield. I was say his rating was like he might be able to play a decent center field, but he cannot. Ken McLean, corner infield, corner outfield guy. Not too bad there. I don't like his offensive ratings though. Luke Davis is going to be who we're going to go with here. So we're going to go ahead and sign him. Mike Thompson. We'll actually go with him next. I thought his ratings were pretty decent for what's available here at least. Walt Cohen. I mean, he looks like he might be the best we get here, so we're going to go him here. And then, yeah, not too much here. Tim O'Brien, we won't be able to sign him. Aiden Montgomery, an interesting guy, especially for us. A hard-throwing sidearm guy who mainly rolls grounders, looks like. Probably use that cutter-slider combo there, to, especially that cutter, to roll some grounders. So we're going to go ahead with Montgomery, and then we're going to go ahead and sim out of the draft to let our assistant GM or our scout or whoever really takes over the draft for us. And I guess I went through more rounds than I thought, since it's kind of just telling us that there wasn't really anybody left that would meet our demands or anything. Jake Horsley. Honestly, I feel like we have to go after this guy since he's an extreme ground ball guy. So we'll go after him. Eddie Duenas. Another ground ball guy. Oof, honestly, his OSA ratings are kind of interesting, so I feel like he's another guy who we just have to go for. I'm kind of thinking that extreme ground ball reliever that we just saw on the drafted probably was an impossible to sign guy, and I just didn't notice because these guys had low demands and usually sign them. Yeah, so yeah, he must have had kind of impossible demand or something. That's why it worked out like that. But I think that's honestly going to be it for this video. Kind of quick, but again, not much to recap when you're kind of at the basement. Not a ton of interesting guys to look at. Not a bunch of interesting guys who are doing well or anything. Just kind of talking about how things are going. For the season, which again is not good. But again, I should be back next episode. Probably not in international amateurs because again, just nobody. There's just no one there who's interesting, even in the slightest. So I'll probably see you guys at the All-Star break. And then we're going to be making some trades, which might include Trevor Story. Don't know who else it would include, honestly. But yeah, we're going to be keep on looking to building the team, and we could see some important debuts. Maybe Tristan Cassius, maybe he gets a debut. A corner and field spot opens up. But yeah, so that's gonna do it for me, guys. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.